Hey everybody, welcome to our LinkedIn Live. I'm super excited to have you guys today. We have Sharad Varshney from OvalEdge and Sam Conway, a principal TI consultant from Forrester here. And we're going to be kind of taking a deep dive through our Forrester TI report and kind of going behind the methodology and a little bit of the background there. And then at the end, we'll take some questions. The whole process, just if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll be sure to answer those at the end. And with that, I'll pass it off to Sharad and Sam. Take it away, you guys.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me here today. And as stated, my name is Sam Conway. I'm a principal consultant on the TI team here at Forrester. And in this role, I work with technology vendors to find, quantify, and articulate the business value of solutions and services. Before we get into today's presentation, though, I just want to ensure that the audience is aware of the following disclosures. So this document and presentation are an abridged version of the full case study titled The Total Economic Impact of OvalEdge, which we completed in March 2022. The study is commissioned by OvalEdge and was delivered by the Forrester Consulting Group. Forrester makes no assumptions as to the potential return on investment that other organizations will receive, and Forrester strongly advises that readers should use their own estimates within the framework provided in the report to determine the appropriateness of an investment in OvalEdge. OvalEdge reviewed and provided feedback to Forrester, but Forrester maintains editorial control over the study and its findings, does not accept changes to the study that might contradict Forrester's findings or obscure the meaning of the study. The customer names for the interviews were provided by OvalEdge. And finally, Forrester does not endorse OvalEdge. All right, so the agenda for our presentation today, we're going to start with an explanation of the TI methodology, an executive summary of the findings, and then we'll dig a little bit more into the customer stories and the detailed results, how we got to those top line numbers. And after that, after everything, we'll go over any questions that the audience may have. So what is TEI? TEI goes beyond TCO and ROI to understand the total business value a service or solution provides an organization. And we do this by looking at traditional metrics like cost savings, user efficiency, and business effectiveness, but we weight it based on risk, scalability, and flexibility. This is going to bring us to the core components of the TI framework. So first and foremost, we have the benefits. And these are the business advantages an organization gains by implementing a service or solution. Then we have the costs. These are both direct, such as fees paid for a service or solution to a vendor, and indirect, such as internal costs for training and implementation. We also try, when possible, to measure what we call flexibility. And this is not explicitly what customers are currently experiencing, but what possibilities they unlock in the future by making an investment today. Finally, we risk adjust all these categories to create a conservative and realistic view for what a potential customer may experience. And together, all of these elements combined make up what Forrester calls the total economic impact. Within the context of this engagement, Forrester's approach was the following. So we started with our due diligence, and that's harnessing the knowledge of Forrester's analysts and research to understand the product market, as well as interviewing key stakeholders within OvalEdge to better understand their product, their broader product strategy and vision. We then conducted 4 customer interviews. So these were OvalEdge customers that had had the solution for at least 6 months to understand their detailed use cases and outcomes. Once we have all that data, we create a composite organization to better represent the typical or average customer experience. And then we finally create a financial model and case study around that composite organization's deployment. All right, so getting to the findings themselves, and before we dig into the detailed numbers, I'd like to cover some of the high-level findings from the study. So Forrester found the following 3-year financial results for the composite organization. First, there was a return on investment of 337%, a net present value of $2.5 million, and a payback period of under 6 months. And that's all using a discount rate of 10%. To go along with those numbers, I'd like to highlight these 2 customer testaments in the customer interviews on the value of OvalEdge, as well as the problems that these organizations were having and trying to address with the with the investment. So first we had a chief data officer, and they were highlighting the abilities of the solution itself. And they said, OvalEdge is a one-stop solution for data governance with a feature-rich system of capabilities. And then we had a data governance lead, and they were explaining the issues that their firm had that led to this investment and why they invested in OvalEdge specifically. So they said, we wanted data-driven decisions for the organization. Multiple old migrations had corrupted data that isn't readily available, making it hard for the organization to run campaigns. Now, these two customers were part of the 4 organizations that we interviewed. And I'd like to go over how we got to those total results based on the customer interviews themselves. So the organizations that we interviewed, you can see here on the slide, we had 2 fintech firms, one in the United States and one in South America. There was a US healthcare firm, and we interviewed a large conglomerate based in the Middle East. The firms, came from a range of different sizes. We had organizations as large as $10 billion annual revenue down to $300 million in revenue. So their industries were different, their sizes were different, but they had a lot of common issues in the organizations. So while their specific use cases might have varied, the common pain points included a lack of data governance and cataloging architecture, no visibility into potential compliance issues, a lack of lineage tools for impact analysis, and inconsistent data across the board. So speaking on those issues that they had, we had the chief data officer, again, saying, these are the shortcomings of the data world. A lot of things were in spreadsheets or in people's heads. So this, again, speaks to that inability to access data or inconsistent data spread across the organization. And then when talking about the criteria for the solution, which they ultimately selected, which we'll cover in the next slide, the data management manager explained the requirement was a tool that could automate technical metadata capture because we were doing that manually. It also had to be user-friendly because we understood that not only were our data stewards going to be using the tool, all our data consumers within the company will start their data journey through this tool. And then looking at the solution requirements that the customers highlighted when evaluating different solutions and ultimately choosing OvalEdge, we heard from them that they needed to be able to quickly crawl large data sets. They needed to automatically create lineage information. They needed to automate technical metadata capture. They needed to easily integrate the solution with their current tech stack. And finally, they wanted to provide an easy-to-use search functionality for users across the organization. Now, Sharad, I'm going to turn things over to you to explain how OvalEdge meets some of those criteria with capabilities.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sam. Hey, everyone. I am Sharad Varshney. I'm founder and CEO of OvalEdge. And just want to describe that how we built OvalEdge from ground up to solve all the data governance challenges and how it can help, all the customers, which is in the part of the study, as well as other customers, which is not even a part of the study. So OvalEdge have primarily 3 foundational principles where the OvalEdge is built into it. The one is the data catalog, which is basically gather all the metadata and all the information from all existing systems, and then and keep the connectivity alive. Another one is the end-to-end data governance platform, what we call it, but it is built into it. It's not a separate system, it's built into it, which takes care of the security, which takes care of all the lineage aspect, which takes care of all the need for the data governance, and I will come to the detail of it. And primarily, the third part, which is the adoption of the software. And adoption cannot happen by its in siloed. Adoption happen by its tools. For example, developer want to do the schema compare. So it is there, a program is there to do this. So every software this software is OvalEdge is built around adoption by end user in mind, and end user can be the developer, end user can be the data analyst, data scientist, and what are the feature set we provide in adoption is the key capability into it. So Michael, if you can, yeah. So let's talk about the data catalog. So what data catalog does? So first thing is that it gathers the metadata from from variety of applications like Salesforce, SAP, Azure, Epic. Like those are the some systems are there. But along with as well as databases like SQL servers, like Oracle, like IBM DB2, any databases are there. We crawl the data. Then we also crawl ETL systems like Informatica, Power Center, Matillion, SSIS, or Fivetran to whatever the ETL systems are. We crawl them in order to bring this information. And what it does is it bring that, okay, the ETL knows that the information from the source is connected to the data warehouse or etc. Right? So that's where information comes. And then the data warehouse, we crawl again. The data warehouses like Snowflake to Databricks to Cloudera, Teradata, BigQuery, all these kind of systems, we crawl them. And we again crawl them all this metadata, but we also compute the statistics of all the systems. So all the profiling information is also available in OvalEdge. The lineage where the data come from because of the ETL and we crawl the source code of the queries inside it. So it builds the lineage for it. And then ultimately we crawl the visualization systems like Tableau, Power BI, Qlik, then the variety of other major visualization systems, so that our AI-based systems, we crawl them, and those also build the lineage. So for example, Qlik builds the lineage, Power BI builds the lineage, and we parse their source code and source code in the sense like they have books or something have Tableau have the workbook concept, Power BI have different concepts, Qlik have. So whatever the concepts they have, we brought that information and bring that how this is connected to data warehouse and how data warehouse connected to the applications, and you get complete visibility into that. So that's the major part of this. Another part which we identify is PII information automatically into that. And then we go down to another part, which is end-to-end data governance. And again, when we talk about end-to-end data governance, you do not need 50 different tools to do your data governance. We have one tool which combines every aspects of this. So generally speaking, the data literacy is the number one use case because it tells everybody what the data is consistently. For example, it builds a business glossary which have consistency. So OvalEdge is not just a tool where you can say, okay, here's a business glossary you can search upon. It's not that much. It provides the complete understanding that how do you build business glossary from ground up? How do you do the impact analysis to understand one term and how these terms are listed across the organization, because it crawls all this information, and it have the methodologies to building the business glossary. So we just not provide just a tool to kind of go and search like a lot of open source tool available or something. It's not just that, but it's a methodology of building the business glossary. The strategy is needed in form of academy we provide, as well as in terms of the complete execution capabilities. So it's a comprehensive data governance framework in that area. Then we provide the data access capabilities, means all the security into it, including the privacy compliance. It's complete GDPR, CCPA, or any other the privacy compliance can be implemented using OvalEdge. A lot of customers implement OvalEdge just for the privacy compliance as well, just for the making sure that CCPA is getting compliance, the GDPR is getting compliance. Every aspect of that is covered. And then the aspect of the data quality. Because all three things combines a complete data governance, means high quality, trustworthy data, access to everyone. So those are the three fundamental pillars of OvalEdge with a very deep detailed functionalities to drive those, as well as strategy to kind of give you that how do you implement it, right? And generally, most of the customers implement using one data governance manager and a couple of team. With that, they can implement entire system using that. So that's the data governance platform. And then comes down to the adoption layer of this. Even though you build we have seen the companies who build business glossary spend quite a bit of time and they sit on the closet, but it's not in OvalEdge. When you do it, it's the business glossary delivered to the reports where they believe through the plugin. So we always have the last mile adoption layer. So and the tools are available as well. Like for example, developer have no stake in data governance stake, but using the comparison tools, etc. We bring them also into the system, because those things otherwise not available, and the developer comes into the system. Privacy compliance officer is there. They have that option. They have layer, because they can immediately come to OvalEdge and click one step, and they have the complete audit information which they can give it to auditor, that what are the PII information is available, right? Data scientists can very easily see that how the data is interlinked from one system to another system to another system. They can see the complete knowledge graph and able to understand what is going on in the data. So that's information is available. On the other hand, the business users can very easily search the data they are looking for. They can not only search it, but the searching is one aspect of it, where people know what the information is there. But sometimes you need a shopping mall experience rather than Amazon experience, so that you can go and navigate to the data as well. So we provide both capabilities in that area. And the last is the data engineering group, where they can do the complete impact analysis. We have customers, I think, which also has been done in this study, who have they upgrade Epic every quarter, and they want to understand the impact analysis from, what will be the impact of downstream systems. So they press the button, and then they have the information available, that how can they see the impact downstream of various reports. Thousands of reports are available, and how those hundreds of reports, only 100 reports getting affected by the upgrade of Epic system, or by upgrade of any ERP system. What will be the downstream impact? You do not have to find out that when the report fail in production, or basically you make a bad decisions around it. So you can do proactive assessment of the data engineer can have advantage of that, as well as they can mark that certain reports are not getting, it's not trustworthy. So they can do proactive action into that. So those are the self-service tools that are available in this area. And just to give you the perspective of the number of connectors we have, we have the databases to NoSQL, data warehouses, big data applications like Hadoop, applications like Esri, the Salesforce, the SAP, the ETL system, reporting, cloud data warehouse. We have the connectors, more than 100 plus connectors are available in the OvalEdge, which crawls the metadata from almost every system. We have not seen any companies where we are not able to connect and crawl certain data sources. We have all the connectors available, and sometimes the companies have specific. We generally work with them to build that connector as well, so that with our open connect development kit, so that they can build the connector very quickly for them. So it's very easy to crawl variety of the data sources and put it in one enterprise data catalog into it. And the last part I want to mention is about lineage. If you go to the next one, is that the lineage is one of the core part of OvalEdge. It's build the lineage automatically by parsing the source code. Source codes of applications, source codes of data warehouse, source codes of of ETL systems, and with parsing it, we understand where the source system are, where the destinations are. We build it. It's done through a process, and the process is we parse the source code, and there is a model which is in place, which basically understand the model and works it. And sometimes if the model doesn't work, then there is a feedback mechanism which can keep controlling it and make it better. So in 2 to 3 iteration, you have 100% lineage built most of the time doing this. And the lineage have the variety of the use cases, which is the impact analysis to trust, to compliance, to technical debt reduction, to data quality. There are various use cases for the data lineage are there. And it's a foundation for data governance. There is a lot of tools available in the data, which doesn't have the data lineage, or there is a data lineage tool are separate. But OvalEdge is the only end-to-end tool which have data lineage built in, and which is very comprehensive, as well as all the tools combined is needed in order to do the data governance part. And that is the way OvalEdge's position is a complete offering for your data governance need, or for data operations, or any other need as well. But that way is the lineage case makes it much better. So that's for me. And now we can see that how really the existing customers were able to get more value from it, and what is the financial impact of it. So that Sam is going to walk through.
Thanks, Rod. That's great. Absolutely. So as you said, we understand where the customers were coming from, and now we understand what they're getting with OvalEdge. So how do we create the business case for that. So as I mentioned earlier in our methodology, we develop a composite organization based on the customer interviews, on the data we get there. So it's representative of the customers we interviewed. This composite organization, it's a global B2B organization with $1 billion annual revenue. The organization lacked a dedicated data governance tool prior to its investment in OvalEdge. For the deployment characteristics in the model, we've made the following assumptions. There's 25 data stewards, 50 analysts, 100 business users, and 15 connectors. So from a high level, for the composite organization, we quantified 4 primary benefit categories. So this chart shows their 3-year net present value using the 10% discount rate I mentioned. So we have data steward operational savings of $694,000. We have analyst operational savings of $1.4 million. Business user operational savings of $992,000. And then we have improved efficiency for compliance activities of $162,000. So as I mentioned, the first benefit is the data steward operational savings. So the interviewees highlighted that OvalEdge manually completed many previously manual tasks, automatically completed many manual tasks. They were able to accelerate the pace at which their teams catalog data. And prior to having OvalEdge, these organizations would have relied on data teams working in an ad hoc and highly manual environment, which led to them struggling to keep up with the amount of data requests they were receiving. Additionally, the organizations created self-service portals for analysts to cut down on requests, and the automatic lineage reduced the time required for conducting impact analysis. For the composite organization, the reduction in effort required to catalog metadata, fulfill data requests, and compile lineage information made data stewards up to 40% more productive. So over the 3-year analysis, this improvement in productivity is valued at $694,000. And I want to call out this example from one of the interviews we had. You can see the quote here. They stated, "We were cataloging manually and able to catalog about 100 new data attributes per quarter. Now we have 70% of our data lake governed, and we're cataloging about 2,000 per quarter. It gives you an idea of how time-consuming it was, and it would be impossible to scale at this velocity and match the new data in our data lake with human resources." Next, we had the analyst operational savings. So I mentioned how the self-service tools and search functionality were cutting down on those data requests for the data stewards. The flip side of that is the time savings for the analysts themselves. So interviewees highlighted that with self-service tools, analysts no longer had to wait for the request to be fulfilled in order to do their work. And there was also improved trust in the data due to that lineage. The organizations were able to enforce governance policies, leading to improvements in data accuracy, completeness, consistency, and timeliness. So for the composite organization, the self-service portals, improved data quality, and timeliness makes those analysts up to 30% more productive. And in the 3-year analysis, this improvement in productivity is valued at $1.4 million. Speaking on analyst productivity, one of the interviewees said, "The analysts can run their scanners once a week and adapt to that. In the past, they would not know. We're saving time for multiple analysts who would be running a project, and by the time they were done, the data had changed." So next is the business users using OvalEdge. So prior to using OvalEdge, the business users within organizations were hampered by long waits, incomplete or inaccurate data, and stability issues for the reports and dashboards that they were using. These problems all limited their ability to make and act on data insights. And with OvalEdge, investigation, hygiene, and data preparation were reduced. The organizations expanded data access and reduced wait times for critical data due to higher quality, ready-to-use, trusted data. Additionally, the proper lineage tracking supported ongoing impact assessment as data and sources changed, creating report and dashboard reliability for organizations. And again, going to Shrad's point, for those organizations that are changing applications frequently, can cause downstream issues for anyone who's using those reports and dashboards. For the composite organization, the self-service portals, improved dashboard stability, increased business user productivity by up to 20%. So over the 3-year analysis, this improvement in productivity is valued at $992,000. Speaking about the benefits of OvalEdge to business users, the lead data analyst for one of the healthcare firms that we interviewed said enterprise data governance will enable all the employees with the organization to see where they can find business-related assets, reports, and dashboards. With the help of OvalEdge, we'll be able to pinpoint areas of business intelligence and dig down deep. Further, talking to the data management manager for a fintech, they stated business users had no access to this data before, but now it is accessible to anyone with basic SQL knowledge. Finally, we have improved efficiency for compliance activities. So the interviewees' organizations acknowledged that compliance was a black box before deploying OvalEdge. They had data silos and inaccessible spreadsheets, which made maintaining compliance with data sensitivity policies impossible. With OvalEdge, these organizations could connect disparate data sources, catalog data, enforce data policies, and shield the organizations from exposing sensitive information to unauthorized users. For the composite organization, the reduced effort in finding, tagging, and securing sensitive data provides a 75% productivity boost for the compliance team. I should note that while all the other benefits grow over time with adoption and increased use across the organization and user familiarity, this benefit is heavily weighted in year one because OvalEdge provides immediate benefits when connecting those data sources. Over the 3-year analysis, the total MPV for these compliance efficiencies is valued at $162,000. So those are the benefits, the primary benefits that we've quantified for this study, but multiple interviewees who worked in industries, excuse me, I want to go back up one. I wanted to highlight that multiple interviewees who worked in industries with highly sensitive data noted how OvalEdge helped them. So we did have that data management manager at a financial services organization who said that before they started using OvalEdge, they did not know information was private, public, confidential, or sensitive. With 2 clicks now, we can find that confidential information. So again, shows how you're uncovering some of those potential landmines or booby traps within your organization. The next, we had a chief data officer, again, in financial services, heavily regulated. And they stated, we did not know within our enterprise where we had PII or PCI information. Within 45 days of POC, OvalEdge was able to crawl through everything. We've created a secure data environment based on OvalEdge findings and have not been fined. So it speaks to some of that unvalued benefits there around avoiding organizational fines. And with that, there were other unquantified benefits. So as I mentioned, we didn't quantify the benefit of a potential fine. And there are additional benefits to adopting OvalEdge that customers noted, but again, were not included within that financial model. So those included things like improved employee experience and faster onboarding, making all these tools and solutions available to analysts, helps them ramp up. We also have increased data usage across the organization. So Sharad showed that chart, how many different work streams, many different users are impacted by this, and the ability to spread that data across the organization allows them to use it. And the flip side of that, again, is those improved business outcomes from consistent data and increased usage. So we had examples from organizations talking about things like cross-marketing between teams or product improvements based on new data being available to developers or engineers. And those are all things that could have real tangible impacts down the line. And then again, there's that decreased risk of a compliance issue. By being able to find any of those issues and secure them, you're avoiding any risk associated with them existing. Finally, we had 3 costs over the 3-year model. So the first cost quantified within the model are the direct fees paid to OvalEdge. And these are based on the number of users, those user types, and the number of connectors that an organization has. There's also internal labor costs incurred by organizations during implementation and training. And lastly, there's internal labor costs associated with the ongoing management of OvalEdge in the organization. So now that we have the benefits and we have the costs, I want to revisit those top-line financial numbers we had. So summing up our financial findings over the 3-year period, we had an ROI of 337%, an NPV of $2.5 million, and a payback period of under 6 months. And with that, Michael, I'll turn things back over to you for any questions we have.
Yeah, hey, awesome. Thanks, guys. That was great. Yeah, we have a couple questions here. Let me pull one of these up. So this is from Becca. She says, was there anything unexpected or surprising about the results of the study?
Well, I think for me, a lot of the quantified benefits, those were the things that, I think we were expecting with the organizations, right? The productivity improvements, increased compliance within the organization. I think some of the things that popped out that were surprising were those discrete use cases. So, there were organizations doing things like impact analysis or, thinking about like the big picture usage of data across the organization. I found those to be pretty surprising how they varied organization to organization, what products or services they're improving, or things like cross marketing in a conglomerate.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Let me see here. Got another question here from Caleb. He said, how can I use the case study to determine what the costs and benefits and ROI might be for my company?
Yeah, so I would recommend going to the original study itself, because it does have the financial findings all laid out in tables, and as an organization you can use those the math there to put in some of your own inputs and try to calculate how those outputs would look for your organization.
Awesome. Let me see here. We just got a couple more questions. This is from, he says, are there any hard savings that's quantified, like stop duplicate payments by X dollars or increase sales or reduce compliance penalties by X dollars? And I think that's kind of what you were talking about at the end there, Sam, was, that a lot of these things, because they're kind of unknown, it's kind of hard to put a, direct value on savings there.
Yeah, and there's kind of anecdotal numbers, right, for some of those things, like a compliance penalty, because again that can vary based on what you've exposed, how much you've exposed, what country you're in, and how those compliance fines are structured. And again, for the the duplicate payments, we did hear things from organizations around how they're thinking about using that information. Those are, I would say, long tail data maturity type of issues, not the compliance, because again, as we highlighted, those are the things that you kind of uncover day one or year one. But as far as like how that data is used within the organization, it's going to vary organization to organization, and might be a little further on a maturity model for those organizations.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's about all the questions that I can see here. Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you guys for your time today. Really appreciate it. This is really great to kind of go through this in a little bit more in depth. And yeah, so thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Again, thank you so much for attending this, sir. And any other questions, you can just put in the comments and we can answer those questions as well independently.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.